Happy Hanukkah to everyone. We're going to stand in body and spirit to sing My Life Flows On in the main hymnal, 108 verses 1 and 2. You may hum along and I will sing. But still a good one. We're going to do Touch the Earth and Reach the Sky, number 301 in the main hymnal, verses 1, 2, and 4.
Eusebius, 4th century church historian. May I be no one's enemy, and may I be the friend that which is eternal and abides.
May I wish for every person's happiness and envy none.
May I rejoice in the ill fortune, may I never rejoice in the ill fortune of one who has wronged me.
May I, to the extent of my power, give needful help to all who are in want.
May I never fail a friend.
May I respect myself.
May I always keep tame that which rages within me.
May I accustom myself to be gentle and never be angry with others because of circumstances.
May I know good people and follow in their footsteps.
Not yet. Not yet. We'll get there. That's good, thank you. I don't know which mic's on, Tom. Is this one on? Yeah, let's use this one. We acknowledge that the land we gather on as a congregation, where we live, work, and play, was not freely given to us. We gather on the ancestral lands of the Nuchu or Ute, Apache, the Pueblos, Hopi, Zuni, and Dene nations. We recognize the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land. Let me take my mask off. As these words are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their ancestral homelands are renewed and reaffirmed. We acknowledge that our use of and benefit from this land came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose lands we now inhabit. Good morning. My name's Tim Miller, UUFD member, volunteer host, and worship associate for this morning's service. We also helped turn on all the audio visual because James was having some car issues, so he's working remotely today. Covenant is the silk that joins Unitarian Universalist congregations, communities, and individuals together in a web of interconnection. Promising to journey together is at the precious core of our creedless faith. We're a welcoming congregation, recognized as such by the UUA. Being welcoming means striving for radical inclusion and creating spaces that honor every part of our identities, our backgrounds, and our experiences. All people of goodwill are welcome here. If you're a newcomer, in person in the sanctuary or on Zoom, we are happy you are here. We invite you to visit the welcome station in the back if you're in person. And guest cards are on the chair backs. If you sign up, we'll send you our electronic newsletter. You can also drop the card in the basket when it comes around during the offertory. Shannon Beaver is back in the rear of the church, serving as the online Zoom host. Together, in person and online, we make up this community. Thank you for your continued patience as we modify guidelines for gathering in person. Our lay leaders are working hard on the goal of providing as safe an environment as possible as we enter the colder months. As most of you know, local COVID prevalence is a cause for caution. We're asking that you make reservations for our two busy services that are coming up, the worship and celebration and Christmas pageant on December 12th, and also the two Christmas Eve services. You can do that online to reserve space. And of course, no reservations necessary if you're attending online. We offer distance seating in the mezzanine area for those who'd like a little more room. After the story, our children can join Caesar on the playground or remain with parents. Following worship, we'll have regular fellowship on the patio, and then we'll come back in to have some reflection time with our My Story speakers this morning from 11:30 to 12. I'll ring gently but persistently the bell to alert you to 11:30. Joining me in leading today's service remotely is our tech director, James Mirabal. Jose Duran is our pianist. He'll be offering some his arrangements of some Hanukkah tunes. And Lorraine McCleary leads our music today. Individuals from the membership team are on the welcome station. Greeters are Susanna, and is Judy here? No Judy today. Susanna Jones is our greeter. Thanks to everyone for making this possible, including you through your attendance. These are challenging times, and we're glad you're making the extra effort to keep Unitarian Universalism as part of your life. On this last Sunday of November, we continue the theme of holding history. Today's service is the latest in our My Stories services, where church members Mariana Fisher now, and Gwyn Adams will share their personal spiritual histories. We define worship as shaping things of worth. In so doing, we create community, providing opportunities for transformation. As Gwyn lights our chalice, we invite you to speak the words of the affirmation, our congregational covenant. Please rise. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need. For these high purposes do we unite in worship. Let's offer a greeting of peace and welcome, a gift of hospitality with a message of peace be with you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Teresa. Hi.
Good morning.
Hi, John and Susan. Hi, Dennis. Hi, Shannon.
Yes, hi, John and Susan, Dennis, Mary Jackson.
Hi, everyone. Glad
Hi,
to see all
everybody.
7 of you. Yeah.
Everyone.
Janice.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah. So good.
Morning.
Morning.
Hi, Robert.
Hi.
Nice to see smiling faces.
The prayer and meditation words this morning are from a short prayer from Howard Thurman, an American author, philosopher, theologian, educator, and civil rights leader. In the quietness of this place, surrounded by all-pervading presence of the holy, my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in good times or in tempests, I may not forget that to which my life is committed. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. Let us hold silence for a few moments. Amen.
It is, Suzanne, like one story time. We have some youngsters or young at heart here this morning. There we go. Let me take this thing off. All right. That's better. Later in today's service, your parents will be hearing a story about the spiritual paths of two of our members. The story I've chosen today, The Day You Begin, is about a young person's first day at school, at a new school. So in some ways, that too is like a new path, a new beginning for the child, making new friends, having the courage to believe in yourself, and learning how to tell your story, your own story. I love mics with with hearing aids and sitting on the cord and. No, sir. Oh, this will work, I think. I think we're getting there. This is by Jacqueline Woodson, illustrated by Rafael Lopez. You got a Zoom going on this? All right. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you. Maybe it will be your skin, your clothes, or the curl of your hair. There will be times when no one understands the words that curl from your mouth, the beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Rigoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't understand, the classroom will fill with laughter until a teacher quiets everyone. Rigoberto from Venezuela, your teacher says so soft and beautifully that your name and homeland sound like flowers blooming, the first bright notes of a song. There will be times when the words don't come, your own voice, once huge, now smaller when the teacher asks, what did you do last summer? Tell the class your story. We went to France, Shayla says. These shells came from a beach in Maine. A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with tiny shells so fragile, they look like they'll turn to dust in your own untraveled hands. My whole family went to India, Spain, South Carolina. Each souvenir a small triumph of a journey. Their travels going on and on. And as you stand in front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved as it lifted off the curb and your days spent at home caring for your little sister, who made you laugh out loud and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books you kept on reading long after she had fallen asleep. And in that room, when no one else quite like you was there, you look down at your own empty hands and wonder, what good is this when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? There will be times when the lunch your mother packed for you is too strange or too unfamiliar to love, for others to love as you do. When even your own friend, Nadja, will wrinkle her nose and say, what's in there anyway? And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the rice below the meat and kimchi. You'll wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the world. There will be times when the climbing bars are too high, the run is too fast and far, the game isn't one you can ever really play. I don't want him on our team. You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later, they might say. There will be times when the world feels like a place that you're standing all the way outside of. And all that stands beside you is your own brave self, steady as steel, and ready even though you don't yet know what you're ready for. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you until the day you begin to share your own story. My name is Angelina. I spent the whole summer with my little sister, you tell the class. Your voice suddenly stronger than it was just a minute ago. We read books and we were telling stories. Even though we were right on our block, it was like we got to go everywhere. Your name is like my sister's, Rigoberto says. Her name is Angelina too. And all at once, in a room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you. This is the day you begin to find the places inside your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories, where every new friend has something a little like you, and sometimes something else so fabulously not quite like you at all. That's the story for today.
I've read this story before at the Women Girls Club, and at that time she wanted to point out how I remember at the monkey bars one where the tree, and there, I don't know if you noticed, but there's actually like a ruler.
Mhm.
She said that's because the author wanted to symbolize how it can be.
Yep, yep. No, there's always a challenge out there in life, and you find a way to deal with it and to make friends in spite of it and move on. And that's part of the beauty, part of the struggle, but part of the beauty of life. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, is Caesar here? Caesar is here. Yes, you can either go to the playgrounds or stay with your parents. I know somebody wants to stick around and hear mom's story. So. Where did that reading go? Let's see. The reading this morning is from William Henry Channing, William Ellery Channing's slightly less well-known nephew and fellow Unitarian minister during the middle of the 19th century, about what he sought in his spiritual life. To live content with small means, to seek elegance rather than luxury, and refinement rather than fashion, to be worthy, not respectable, and wealthy, not rich, to study hard, think quietly, talk gently, act frankly, to listen to stars and birds, to babes and sages with open heart, to bear all cheerfully, do all bravely, await occasions, hurry never, to let the spiritual, unbidden and unconscious, grow up through the common. This is to be my symphony. So ends the reading.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mariana, and this is my story. In second grade, I wanted to be a nun. There was something that compelled me to be in a life full of spirituality, but there was also something that scared me about the restrictions and intensity that came with being a life of being a nun. The pull to be a nun stayed with me for a few years, but I don't believe I actually ever shared that idea with anyone. After all, being a nun wasn't exactly on par with the life aspirations of my elementary school peers. Let's be honest, it's not quite as exciting as being an astronaut or an actor or a veterinarian. But even beyond peer pressure, there was something I couldn't quite reconcile about my conflicted feelings about this odd pull towards being a nun. At some point in my childhood, the calling to be a nun subsided, but the pull to spirituality did not. I struggled to find a way to express this that was in a way that was in alignment with my personal experiences. I realized that the various elements of religion that I was experiencing and what I was being taught didn't match up with my own budding beliefs that were swirling around my head, my heart, and my soul. One of the first concepts that was askew for me was the idea that religion was supposed to be a set of beliefs and norms to help you lead a good and just and holy life, but that religions around the world and even in my own town often define themselves in opposition to each other rather than working in concert with each other. Religious people were often vying for which religion was most right. And when I was little, I couldn't make sense of the idea that one religion was correct. This especially didn't make sense to me, given that a person's religion often overlaps with where in the world they were born or into which family. As I came to understand that whole regions of the world tended to practice specific religions that differed from whole other regions of the world, I couldn't fathom that a whole region's world worth of people were wrong or unholy or unpure or any of the other various labels that religion used to otherize people. So for me, these disagreements and contradictions created distance between my heart and my religion of birth. But being removed from religion didn't always feel right to me either, and it didn't feel true to me. I still had the calling to connect to a higher power that stayed with me in some way. And it came through in certain situations or relationships. And in college, a roommate and a dear friend asked me to sponsor her as she converted into my childhood religion. I supported her in this important choice in her adulthood, but it also felt askew as I was personally resonating less and less with my religion. After that experience in college, my life had very little organized religion of any sort until I crossed through the threshold of this church a few years ago. In between, I lived in Hawaii for 8 years. I found it to be a world that differed beautifully from my life on the mainland in terms of approaches to life and family and community. In Hawaii, a great many things are appreciated for being a blend. Blends of cultures, blends of flavors, blends of families with strangers. During that time of living in a world rich with blends, my own orientations towards spirituality became a blend. Or I should say, I became more comfortable with my spirituality taking shape as a blend. Another part of my blend, during those years, meditation became my norm and became kind of part of my blend. Another part of my blend came from feeling the energy reverberating from the Buddhist temple downtown, and that resonated with something deep inside me that I hadn't known. Yet another part of my blend came from seeing people commune with nature, even seeing people have memorial services on surfboards in the ocean. And another part of my blend came from feeling undeniable chills when I walked on sacred Hawaiian land. These experiences helped me see my blend of nature and beliefs and self-knowing. Then came the busyness of moving 3 times in 4 years and having 2 beautiful children. Back to the East Coast we went, and my spiritual blend felt a little farther away. After the 4-year interlude on the East Coast, we moved to Durango. Moving to Colorado brought me to within driving distance of that college roommate that I sponsored into my religion those many years ago. While our children played, we chatted, easily slipping into topics that were big and contemplative, as you can do with old friends and dear friends, even if you haven't seen them in many years. When religion and spirituality came up, I described my thoughts of the moment, my blend of ideas and ideals, but a blend that didn't really live outside of my own head and my own heart. My friend listened, and then she told me about her nephew on her husband's side, a teenager who had been raised UU and had found his own blend within a larger community. And I longed for my blend to have a community and a home, and for my children to be raised with a community that would support their blend as they came to develop it and live it out. And so it came to be that I walked through the doors of this building, tiptoeing in with my 2 children, Wilder's still a baby, Sophia a 4-year-old going on 14. It took some time to settle into a rhythm as a family here, in part because of who we were as a family and our own various rhythms. Over my visits and over the years, this community and this religion has grown such roots in my life. My blend of all my truths and orientation and loves, my blend has a home here. And my blend, my particular blend, then mixes and flows with everyone else's particular blends. And the end result is nothing short of magical and life-giving. I'm incredibly grateful to have found UUFD in my life, and I'm grateful in anticipation of the belonging and self-discovery and community in store for the years ahead.
Good morning. My name's Gwen, and mine is on my phone, so hold on. There we go. So some of you may remember that I've done a My Story before. So I actually decided that this time it was going to be a little bit different. The last one talked about my journey coming from being a Methodist pastor's daughter and coming to find my place within paganism and witchcraft. So, and if you're still interested, I'm sure we have the recording, we'll find it. But what I didn't really explain was my spiritual journey. So this time I'm going to talk about that, but less of with a timeline and more of just explaining about some of the lessons I've learned along the way. But to that end, let me also explain what a spiritual journey looks like to me. It's standing in front of a dirty mirror and taking that soapy rag, and with each wipe, you reveal more of the truth. When I first started researching paganism, wasn't on board yet, just kind of looking at it, there weren't a whole lot of options. There wasn't Amazon yet. There wasn't anything on the internet. I worked at our local bookstore and we had one shelf. And most of those were filled with books on Wicca, which is fine for many people. But for myself, I didn't think that I wanted to give up the Christian God to go for a Wiccan goddess. That wasn't for me. And so everything that I learned was bit by bit, piece by piece. It was coming to an understanding of what I wanted to accept and what I wasn't willing to accept. And some of it was a little bit made up. So for example, the traditional way of looking at the directions is that water is in the west and earth is in the north. And that made no sense to me because isn't snow and ice forms of water? And that's how I still practice it today. But oftentimes what you come across, even today with Pinterest and WitchTube and Witch Talk and all of these other places, what you often come across is spell work. And it always seemed to me to be rather selfish. Gimme, 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 gimme. I want a new job. I want a new place to live. I want to blank. And that didn't always resonate with me. So then it must be in ritual, right? It must be in honoring our holidays. It must be in honoring the ancestors and that sort of thing. There's some in there. But so often, it just seemed to be lacking. And I can understand how being from the outside and looking in, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of spiritual work going on in paganism. It just doesn't have that vibe. We see the pretty altars and oh, I want those candles and oh, I'd love to have that pretty shelf that somebody got from the beach. But again, there's not much spiritual growth there, right? So what does spirituality look like in witchcraft and paganism? What do we even do? In order to find our answers, the answers to the big questions, I believe that we have to seek our own answers. And that doesn't mean that we can't learn from each other, but it does mean it's not a you must do as I do. Instead, we have to support each other in our seeking. And I'm a hedge witch. For those of you who are confused by that, you are not alone. Hedge witches are looking back historically at the healers who lived in the tiny villages. And they lived right on the border of that village, which was oftentimes a hedge. It was a protective growth of plants to keep the wild outside out and the civilization in. But the healer would go from her little place on the edge, cross the hedge, and go to seek the wild herbs for healing. And so my spiritual practice, the things that I do that help me to reveal my truth. It's the taking the hike in the woods. It's pulling a tarot card in the morning. It's taking the moment to ground and center myself before doing something scary, like being in front of you guys. It's talking with my spirit guides and seeing what internal truths they need to reveal to me. And granted, my spirituality looks different from many other people, but it's no less effective. And because it allows me to never stop seeking my own answers. Mine don't come in a book. They don't come from somebody else telling me what to do. They come to me because I have the tools in order to do my own search. My UU experience has taught me that I want to be part of something bigger. While I love my own personal practice and I love having my own tools in my toolbox that I can use to find my own way, I still want to join up with people because answers without action don't get you very far. And so finding a UU church, finding community, finding other like-minded people who have similar, if not the same goals, is important to me. Because it's more important to say, we will do it, instead of just I alone. So my UU story is simple. I'm here because I see people wanting to make changes for good, and I want to be a part of it.
I always get so much out of my stories. You see the faces, you see, you see the people, but everybody's story is different. I'm fascinated by just how people find this place, and how in different ways people derive meaning from it. I bet there are 4 ways you can donate. You can send a check to the office, you can text, you can go through the website following the donate prompt, or you can drop a donation in this basket, which is the most direct way to do it. But let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. Will the ushers come forward? Mhm. Thank you. The gifts of the congregation are most gratefully received.
I invite you to stand in the body of the Spirit to sing our closing hymn, which is, okay, we are dancing Sarah's Circle in the hymnal 212, verses 1, 2, and 5. We are dancing Sarah's Circle, we are dancing Sarah's Circle, we are dancing Sarah's Circle, sisters, brothers, all. We sing and find our history, we sing and find our history. Sisters, brothers, all. On and on the circles moving, on and on the circles moving, on and on the circles moving, sisters, brothers, all.
As Gwen extinguishes our chalice this morning, words for the benediction are from Barbara Peskin, UU minister. Because of those who came before, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. Because of and in spite of the horizons of their vision, we too dream. Go in peace.